Now at 5, Oklahoma's new bell-to-bell cell phone ban changes how students interact at school. Plus, Breast Cancer Awareness Month starts tomorrow. New screening guidelines every woman should know. And
a government shutdown draws closer as Congress remains deadlocked over federal funding. I'm Erica Brown with more on the standoff and what's at stake.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Coffeyville, Kansas is mourning the death of a teenager, a victim in a crash involving a high-speed chase. This is KOAM News. I'm Dow Quick. It's follow-up to a crash that occurred last Friday afternoon in Coffeyville at the intersection of East 8th Street and Patterson Boulevard. Authorities now say 15-year-old Serafina O'Connell has died at the hospital from injuries suffered in that crash. Investigators said the crash occurred as police were chasing a northbound Jeep. The chase began in Oklahoma before crossing into Kansas. The Jeep failed to yield at a stoplight and crashed into an SUV, causing both vehicles to overturn. O'Connell was a passenger in that second vehicle. Authorities in Kansas today charged the Jeep driver, Tanisha Mayberry, with murder in the first degree and the commission of a felony. Oklahoma charges against Mayberry include assault and battery on a police officer, endangering others while eluding police, and larceny from a retailer. The passenger in the Jeep, Cortez Watson Jr., is charged with larceny of merchandise from a retailer and obstructing an officer in Oklahoma. He's facing drug-related charges in Kansas. You can find more on this case on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Oklahoma schools now follow a bell-to-bell no cell phone policy. Prior to the new state law, the policy was no cell phones during class period. Students were allowed to have them out in between classes and during lunchtime. The Miami assistant principal tells KOAM students are socializing again and they're learning to read body language.
Discipline side, some of those pieces are people texting things to each other, and you can't see emotion with a text. And so we're having more face-to-face conversations, people engaging with each other a little bit better.
In the event of a large-scale emergency, the school will make an announcement that the students would be allowed to call their parents. Let's check in with meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney now for a first look at the weather.
Temperatures have now dropped back down into the lower 80s. We had a pretty cloudy day today, which kept us a couple of degrees cooler, but you can see other than that, we've got another pretty calm day. Now, as we continue to move through tonight, temperatures are only getting down to the low 60s, hitting just about 61, 62. Again, the clouds at night actually keep us a couple of degrees warmer. As we head into Wednesday, we're going to see clouds starting to push out of the area. Now, through tonight, dropping back down again into the lower 60s, 66 by 1 a.m. in Joplin area, but 62 in the morning in Joplin, Fort Scott, Iola, Yates Center, 61 in Fredonia. Only a couple places will be hitting back down into the upper 50s. Neosho, you can see Pierce City as well. So we are going to see some cooler temperatures. Tomorrow, though, we're back up into the upper 80s. I'm going to have those details coming up.
See you soon. Democrats and Republicans appeared to remain in a stalemate over how to keep the government funded to avoid a shutdown set to begin at 12:01 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday, in other words, tonight. The Senate plans to bring up a House-passed bill for another vote at some point today, but few avenues to avoid a shutdown seem viable. Erica Brown reports from Capitol Hill.
With a possible government shutdown just hours away, top Democrats and Republicans are placing blame on each other for the stalemate.
If Republicans cause a shutdown, they'll probably keep lying and distracting because they know we're on the side of the American Democrats are on the side of the American people.
We just heard the minority leader come to the floor of the Senate, once again refusing to admit it's the Democrats who are driving America into a shutdown.
To avert a shutdown, the Senate could pass a Republican measure Tuesday that extends federal funding at its current level until mid-November. But Democrats are demanding the bill include an extension of Affordable Care Act benefits expiring this year and reverses cuts to Medicaid.
We're not going to support a partisan Republican
spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. Not now, not ever.
A government shutdown would mean non-essential government services would be disrupted and thousands of federal workers could be furloughed. The White House has also threatened mass firings at some federal agencies if no deal is reached.
Nothing is inevitable, but I would say it's probably likely because they want to give health care to illegal immigrants, which will destroy health care for everybody else in our country.
A day after meeting with congressional leaders at the White House, President Trump again suggested a shutdown is likely. Any measure taken up by the Senate to keep the government open would need bipartisan support or 60 votes to pass before heading to the president's desk.
According to a Social Security Administration contingency plan, a shutdown would affect a number of services, including benefit verifications and replacing Medicare cards. Another aspect of Social Security could be delayed due to a shutdown. The annual announcement of the cost of living adjustment to beneficiaries' monthly payments, that's set for October 15th. Social Security payments would not be affected. Here in the 4 states, a government shutdown could close the gates at national historic sites and parks, furloughing the staff who keep them running. That would mean no tours, no programs, and limited access to the history these sites preserve. And for some, losing access to these spaces carries a deeper impact.
Shutdown will be really extremely difficult for me personally, as well as I think the U.S. citizens, because these are, for the most part, free for most people to come into. And, you know, we take away that access to information and about our history and culture. And I think that's extremely saddening to me because we must know our history.
Tonight at 6, we're going to hear from Missouri Representative Eric Burleson, who's weighing in on the looming shutdown. Still ahead, saving money while traveling.
Prices are rising, and that means traveling is getting more expensive too. I'm Wendy Gillette with tips on how to maximize your getaway budget.
But first, from trauma to healing, how social media connects moms who survive dangerous deliveries. That's coming up in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, Breast Cancer Awareness Month is October, and believe it or not, that starts tomorrow. Breast cancer is the second leading cause of cancer deaths among women. About 1 in 8 will be diagnosed with the disease in her lifetime, and there's a continued rise of women under the age of 50 being diagnosed. That's why early screening and knowing if you're considered at risk can be life-saving. CBS News Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. John LaPook says artificial intelligence is helping to identify cases.
You have a mammogram done, and the AI actually, even before the radiologist sees it, can put a little box around areas that are potentially dangerous. And the reason why that's important is that normal breast tissue looks white. A calcification, which can be indicative of, not always, but indicative of breast cancer, is also white. So it's like looking for a snowball on a snowdrift. And sometimes human eyes are not as good as the AI at finding it.
The American Cancer Society recommends women start talking to their doctor about screening at age 40. Health professionals also recommend women use a breast cancer assessment tool to gauge their risk. That can include family history, the results of a prior biopsy, age at first period, and the age when a woman has her first child. A growing number of women who experience difficult deliveries are joining a social media group. Doctors say birth trauma affects about 45% of new mothers, leading to conditions like PTSD. And many say help can be hard to find, which is why Birth Trauma Mama has become so popular. Stephanie Stahl has more.
A relief to share happy times for these two moms who had death-defying deliveries.
I had a postpartum hemorrhage. I was in heart failure for 6 months.
Danielle McKenna had her son Hudson 3.5 years ago.
I was so grateful to be alive. I was so grateful for Hudson. But I was also grieving a lot. My introduction to motherhood, it was so different than I thought it was going to be.
Danielle, who lives in South Jersey, says she felt lonely and isolated until on Instagram she found Kaylee Summers, also known as the Birth Trauma Mama.
I did not believe that my baby was mine.
She's created a community of women sharing their delivery dramas.
Being able to connect with Kaylee was really important for me at that moment in time.
We featured Kaylee in 2021 when she first went viral on TikTok after almost dying when her baby Callahan was born. She was saved with help from a tiny heart pump called Impella.
I wouldn't be sitting here creating this community without Impella.
Kaylee, whose son is 6 now, has hundreds of thousands of followers on social media.
Why do you think it's become so popular?
I think because unfortunately a lot of people are traumatized by their birth experiences, right? 1 in 3, so over 1 million people a year. It's really hard to say, hey, the thing that I love more than life itself, the person that I was lucky enough to bring into this world, it also happened in a way that was the most devastating experience of my life.
They say sharing brings healing.
There's a whole community of us out there that are willing to support you.
The birth trauma mamas bonding on social media and beyond and getting better together. Stephanie Stahl, CBS News, Philadelphia.
The birth trauma mamas say many women feel healthcare providers dismiss their traumatic experiences, and they hope increased awareness will improve that. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, coffee prices surge nationwide. Why your morning cup of joe costs more than ever.
And we're back to extremely high temperatures for this time of year. I'll have those details coming up. We've had some pretty warm temperatures these last few days. Today, thanks to the cloudy skies, we were a few degrees cooler. Clouds are starting to break up. You can see taking a look at Indigo Sky, Casino and Resort. We do still have quite a few clouds out there, but temperatures are still above average despite the cloud coverage today. 84 right now in Joplin, Pittsburgh, 86 in Miami. The rest of us in the low 80s to upper 70s, Monette and Cassville. Not too bad out there as we head into Wednesday, though. Temperatures are right back into the mid to upper 80s. A high of about 85, 86 degrees in the Joplin area, but some of us could see temperatures as high as 87 tomorrow. All right, clouds out of the way. We're back to sunny skies by Wednesday afternoon as well. We've got a low pressure system. This is a short wave trough, so it's not a deep low pressure system, but it's dropping south of us, and that's what provided our cloud coverage for today, though we didn't see any rain chances. All right, so as we head into Wednesday morning, again, clouds are moving out of here. Most of us are only seeing temperatures as low as about 60 degrees, though we could hit the upper 50s. But we're going to be mostly in the low 60s to start our day, so about average, slightly above average. By 12 o'clock, 83 in Joplin, 80 in Miami, 77 still in Yates Center, 78 in Monette. Not too bad. We still have that southerly wind that's going to warm us right back up. So high temperatures for the day. 86 in Joplin, 84 in Miami, 86 in Nevada. Definitely seeing some well above average temperatures. These temperatures are going to be 10 degrees above average, and it's just going to get worse as we head into the weekend. Now starting Thursday morning, again, we're in the low 60s. Nobody's going to be hitting the 50s by Thursday morning. Could see an isolated shower or two in our far, far western counties, but really just back to those upper 80s for the highs again Thursday. Very similar forecast to Wednesday. All right, so as we head through the rest of the work week, sunshine returns tomorrow and through the rest of the weekend. So we've got a nice long stretch of sunny skies. Above average temperatures with highs even getting into the upper 80s. By Friday, we could see temperatures up to 88. That's extremely warm for this time of year, especially since tomorrow is October 1st. So we are still seeing some almost 10 to 12 degrees above average temperatures and little to no rain chances until Sunday. So we have, again, a very long stretch of sunny skies. Could see an isolated shower or two on Sunday, but it's such a low chance, so we're holding off on that until Wednesday. Isolated storm chances return, and then we could start to see those temperatures dropping back down to low 80s, upper 70s, and that's closer to average for this time of year, but still not quite there, not for a couple more weeks.
We'll certainly welcome a bit of a cool down anyway.
Yes, we will.
Lindsay, thanks. Coming up, the budget travel secrets that cut vacation costs in half. Topping today's Consumer Watch, inflation and concerns about the economy are prompting more Americans to seek out deals, especially when it comes to travel. And there are ways to save on trips you might not have considered. Wendy Gillette explains in today's Travel Tuesday.
Bill Kurtz from Oradell, New Jersey is a teacher and proud budget traveler. He's used school breaks to visit Bolivia, India, and Ireland.
I like to travel for as long as I can, and by traveling on a budget allows me to go places for longer.
Kurtz says he does lots of research so he can skip organized tours. He also chooses destinations where the dollar stretches further, including Central and South America and Eastern Europe, and books hotels last minute.
I book the first couple nights when I land, and then I plan as I go.
If you're a more detailed planner, consider when rooms are cheapest.
Zig when others are zagging.
Expedia travel expert Melanie Fish says that means if you're heading to a city known for business travel, visit over the weekend. Choose resort areas when they're off-peak, like now, what's known as shoulder season.
That magic time after the busy summer travel season before holiday travel kicks off.
Also consider less buzzy spots like Midwestern cities that will be cheaper.
It comes down to dollars and cents. It costs less to stay in Cleveland, to get to Cleveland, and to do things in Cleveland.
The Cleveland Museum of Art has free entry. A boutique hotel like Fidelity, where we stayed for a special rate, has rooms for as low as around $100. And Playhouse Square offers less expensive show tickets in the country's largest performing arts center, aside from New York. Baseball games are also a bargain here. 4 Guardians tickets, a 2-night Airbnb stay, and some food and drinks cost just under $400. That's the 8th lowest price for an MLB away game, according to the sports betting analysis site Action Network. Progressive Field recently unveiled a $200 million renovation on nearby East 4th Street. Honky Tonk Bar has a southern vibe, and Cordelia serves up elevated dishes for less from a James Beard Award finalist.
We view Cleveland as this kind of poorly kept secret. You know, we say full city, half price kind of thing.
Head to Great Lakes Brewing for craft beers, Alley Cat for oysters, and Larder's Deli for sandwiches in the city no longer known as the Mistake on the Lake.
As for timing, Expedia recommends booking domestic flights 1 to 3 months out and flying on Thursdays, not Sundays, to save money. Trouble might be brewing for what many of us consider a necessity. The price of a pound of coffee has jumped more than $2.50 compared to last year, and President Trump's tariffs are partly to blame. In April, most countries got hit with a 10% tariff, in addition to another hike recently. Brazil now has a 50% tax. That's where coffee chain Gregory's sources many of its beans. The company says its next shipment from Brazil will carry that extra charge. And though the company's paper products are now made in the USA, there's nothing it can do about the actual coffee.
If prices go up a few pennies, 4 or 5 cents across the board, we're hoping that that doesn't necessarily turn off our everyday customers to say, like, all of a sudden this feels completely out of whack with what I was expecting to pay. We would only be doing these things if it's a real economic impact or squeeze that we're feeling. It's definitely not something we love to do or feel comfortable doing, but to protect the business and protect our team, it's just a necessity right now, unfortunately.
Another issue hitting coffee makers, bad weather in Brazil and Vietnam has hampered production. Starbucks said during a recent earnings call customers should not expect price increases until the first half of 2026. But the brand behind Folgers, Café Bustelo, and Dunkin' at-home products said earlier this summer it'll likely hike prices for the 3rd time this year. A final check with the forecast. Up next on the CBS Evening News, the violence in Gaza could finally be coming to an end. Israel is on board, but will Hamas agree to the deal? We're going to have details on possible peace in the Middle East. Then on KOAM News at 6, the state of Missouri withholds funds from counties over property assessments, prompting a lawsuit. We'll have the latest. Plus, learn more about the cell phone ban in Oklahoma high schools. And in sports, a preview to Labette County football taking on Fort Scott on Friday night. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Yes, we are moving into October tomorrow, and no, it's not going to feel like it.
No, we're actually about 10 degrees above average for this time of year, but it's going to be sunny, so we do still have some pretty nice weather other than the warm temperatures. We don't cool down until next week.
That'll certainly be a welcome cool down when it comes. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.